So hello, everybody. It is me, Demetra K, and I do hope that you are having a great day. As you can see, it's just me today. And so what I would like to do is start coming before you guys by myself every once in a while so that I can have more time to spend with you all and really just have a good conversation and things like that. So, of course, we know that the purpose of the Demetra K Show is to promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community to make us an even better people, with the emphasis on even, because we are great people, but we can always improve. And so I hope that is helpful. And who we have on here so far? One who cares. How are you doing today? It is my pleasure. And CG, how you doing? And Naima, I hope I said that right. If I didn't, forgive me for that. Thank you for being here. So I also like to say a big giant thank you and welcome to YouTube and Facebook, the other side of the conversation. You all are not just viewers, but you are participants, because this is probably one of the only shows that tries to read each and every comment. But because we have so many people on here now, it's kind of impossible to read everybody's comment, but I will do my best to read most of them. So I hope that helps. Hello, David. How are you? So today we are going to be talking about, I don't know if you guys have seen it or not, but I'll fill you in as best I can, of the little black boy who is on a baseball team, and his teammates were seen filling his hair with cotton balls or cotton. And so I'll get a little bit more into that. Want to give everybody else a little bit more chance to come on here. So I'll be on here for about an hour. I'm going to try to limit it to an hour so that I do not lose my voice in the process. And Queen of Forces Healing Ministries, how are you doing? Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And so again, if you haven't seen, I guess it's a little bit of a hoopla. People are upset about it, but so I've titled it Foul or Safe. I tried to use some baseball terminology. I only know how to hit the ball and catch, and that's about it. So I tried to be clever with the words. But anyway, for the sake of time, I will go ahead and get into it. And so on Sunday night, there was a baseball game, a Major League Baseball Little League Classic is what it's called. And I guess they have it every year, where Little League teams, I guess they vie for the position of, I guess, the best team or whatever it was. And so there was quite a few teams there. And one of the teams was from that of Davenport, Iowa. And as I guess it was on ESPN, the cameras panned over to the kids. This is what they showed. So watch this.
Little leaguers being little leaguers right there. Hey, next week's Sunday night baseball matchup should be a good one. Atlanta and St. Louis. Cardinals leading the Central. They finish up that 3-game series at Busch, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, ESPN, Deportes, and Radio. And we'll start with 6 Eastern baseball tonight's Sunday night countdown. Why not, right? When in Rome. Are they taking the stuffing out of a stuffed animal? Is that how that's?
So as you saw there, yes, it was a little black kid and his teammates who, you know, seemed to be white or other than, were stuffing his hair with cotton that they got from a stuffed animal. I guess the stuffed animals or something that they got from the game. Maybe they were, you know how like if you go to a game, they hand out different trinkets and stuff. So it seems like that's what that was. It was from one of the toys. And so again, they were stuffing his hair. And so people saw that and they got outraged, rightfully so, right? So of course, people said, you know, how racist it is because cotton, you know, that's what they used to make slaves. Our ancestors picked in slavery was cotton. And so it's, you know, seeing a white boys do that to a black boy. And the black boy, you know, from what it appeared, he had his head down and seemed like he wasn't really enjoying it much. But I went to digging, you know, to see what else I can find. And so these are some of the images that I came up with. So, of course, that's originally, you know, what kind of went all over the internet about, oh, my God, this little, you know, black boy is having his head filled with cotton. It's racist and this, that, and the other. And, you know, let's keep it real. It does seem to be very racist. And I'm not even saying that they did not have a racist intent. All right. So that's what we saw. Okay. Now, there's another image of a white boy as well. They said that they were putting the cotton in his hair too. So from what was shown on ESPN, you only saw the black boy Of course, you heard the commentator saying, you know, that's what little leaguers do. Kids will be kids, that kind of thing. Of course, all the outrage took place. But with this image, you also see a white boy with the cotton put in his hair. Now, they said that he or the team was actually paying homage to another little leaguer who I guess is well known. His name is Jerron Lancaster. And this is a picture from what I can find of Jerron Lancaster. So as you can see, I guess he's famous for a white mohawk. So they said that the kids were actually, you know, trying to mimic the hairstyle of Jerron Lancaster. And I guess he's, you know, pretty good from what they say. I don't know. But so that's what the explanation was. Of course, the team is saying, oh, my God, that's not what it was. You know, I guess they had a conversation with his mom, and I don't know if they squared it away. Maybe the mom was like, yeah, what's going on? So that's what they came up with. So I want to have a conversation with you all to see what your opinion is on this. Was it foul or is it safe? Was it racist or was it, you know, kids being kids and having fun? And so I'm going to get to you all's comments to see what you all have to say about it. William, how are you doing? I should say, Will, how are you doing? All right. And so David, let me actually go back a little bit more here. And Complex Blackness, how you doing? It says no excuse for it. Okay. He says, is the kid FBA Foundation Black American? I don't know, but can I ask you what difference does it make if he's FBA or not? And I really am asking because I don't know. So if you can enlighten me on that. And David, how are you? Says out of pocket humiliation ritual. Okay. So explain that, what you mean by that humiliation ritual. And Will, you say that was absolutely foul. Okay. And Complex Blackness said the kid looked mad, uncomfortable. Yeah. Oh, and then I tried to upload another video of him actually. He's, you know, got his arms up like this and he's like, yay, you know, after they did the hair. So he was actually, he seemed like he was all right with it. He was kind of happy, you know, doing his muscles like, yeah, look at me type of thing. And I wish that I could upload it, but for whatever reason, I was having issues with it. So he didn't seem like, from what I saw, he was too bothered by it at that point. I don't know. I didn't speak to the kid, so I don't know. And Nima, am I saying that right? Nima, is that how you say it? He says, we picked sugar and tobacco also. Absolutely, we did that too. And Complex Blackness says, whether my sons or not, I wouldn't let it go down. All right. And Andre, how are you? He said, if that's my sons, all coaches and those kids' fathers are getting this work. Also, you don't sit there and allow anyone to disrespect you like this. They never tried anything like this with us. You also say it's racist. And David, you say embarrassed the youngin on TV. Okay, so I'm saying it right. I forgot how I said it the last time. Naima. Okay, so I'm saying it right. So, you know, again, I'm not saying that it's not racist because I don't know. Yes, it does look racist, but even with the other information added on, are we saying that it's racist even though they did it to the white kid? And I know because, you know, because of the cotton and stuff like that, yeah, it does, you know, look really bad that they are putting cotton in a black boy's hair. But the other information that it is a white boy involved, and they said they were playing homage to the other kid. That, do you guys still get racist vibes? And Angela, how are you doing? It says the kid just coped. I'm sorry, the best way he knew how. Yeah, I mean, and that could be it too. And I don't know if there's any other black kids on his team. Maybe I didn't see any more black kids or not. Just saw him, so I don't know. I guess I would need more information. Stacy, he says hello from Los Angeles, California. Yes, indeed. And Michael, how are you? He says bullies love and respect tough people with power. Bullies love and respect. Okay. And so William, he says, if it was a team full of black kids putting anything in a singular white boy's hair, those black kids would be kicked off the team. Yeah, and I would agree with that. Most definitely, it probably would have gone down that way. And so, Andre, you're saying, yes, it is still racist. And Complex Blackness, she says, the difference is most FBA kids would know. Also, his mother had no issues. Let's be truthful. Most of our FBA parents would have an issue. The truth, to answer your question, rather, it says there are exceptions, though. Yeah, I mean, and let me push back a little bit because, and you're meaning foundational Black Americans, for people who don't know what that is. There's a lot of foundational Black American children who are dead to knowledge of self. And so I don't think we should attribute that just to kids or people outside of being what you would call foundational Black Americans. So I just kind of, want to put that out there. And David said the camera zoomed in on him first. Yeah, and so that's what people saw. So as they were watching it, they were like, wait a minute. It kind of seems like, this is some racist stuff going on. And so even the announcers, they were kind of like, oh, it's kids being kids. So I wonder, with them saying that, were they saying that because they were like, oh, this is kind of bad here, right? Like, oh, what's going on? So maybe they tried to make light of it. I don't know. Y'all tell me. And Naima, you say, if it's that questionable, it shouldn't be allowed. Yes. And the other question is, should there be some education had on behalf of the white kids? And let's say that it is racist. Did they somehow learn that it was okay to be racist and to do that to him, even though they did it to the white boy as well? And Jan Michael, how you doing? He says, now African-American or not racist. Okay, so now non-African-American are not racist. Okay. And Michael says, what if the white children did that to a white boy? They would not consider that racism. Yeah, and even if I guess if it was a Black boy that did it to a Black boy, would we consider that racist? I don't know. Y'all tell me. And then Will, you says off topic, loving the locks, by the way, D. Oh, thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. And Robert, how you doing? He says, we got more overt racism to worry about. I don't think it's is racist. I think you're the only one that has said that this far. And I will be honest with you. Again, I don't know any inside information as to what's going on in that clubhouse, baseball clubhouse terminology. But from what I saw, I don't know. Maybe it was racist, but then there's other information to say, well, maybe it wasn't. Maybe, they really were paying homage to the other kid, Jerron Davenport, with the white mohawk. And he indeed does have a white mohawk. So that's what they said they were doing, paying homage to him and mimicking the hairstyle. And they did do it also to a white boy that was on the same team. So I don't know. I'm just asking. And Complex Blackness, he says, also the commenters try to cover for the kids. Yeah, I think that's probably what went on too, because they're obviously old enough to know, okay, white kids putting cotton in a black boy's hair. Yeah, that's probably not going to go over well. So I think they kind of probably tried to smooth it over, like, well, it's just kids being kids, And then Michael says, correction, if white children did that to a white boy, they would not consider that racism. Okay. And Angela, he says, those kids are baby racist. Okay. And Baby Yoda, how you doing? He says, definitely not a good look. Does the brother know the history behind cotton? Yeah. And I think that's a fair question, because maybe he didn't. Maybe he really just thought, okay, you know what? This is all in fun. They're putting the cotton in my hair. We're trying to, I don't know, pay homage to the other kid with the white mohawk. Maybe he didn't, but I think it's a good question. Had he been informed, about it, or taught, hey, they kind of made our people pick cotton in slavery. And anytime, you hear white people put cotton in the same sentence with black people, usually it's racist. And so maybe he didn't have that education, because I would think that if he did, maybe he would say, you know what, guys, this is probably not a good idea. I don't want y'all to put this cotton in my hair. I don't know. And let's see, where did I leave off? And Michael says, white children learn from their parents. Yeah, and I would say it's fair to say that all children learn from their parents, whether it's something good or whether it's something bad. I know when I was a child, I learned from my parents a lot of stuff. So but I agree with that. And Entree says, your parents are your first teachers. My parents told us early. Absolutely. So there you go. Everybody kind of learns from their parents. And Robert, you say exactly. And then thank you, Marcus, for sharing the link. If you guys are on Facebook and you're watching this and you would like for me to read your comment, click on the link and come on over, and I would love to do that. And Naima, you say, it was stuffing out of the toys. Don't know if it was cotton. Yeah, so true. Was it really cotton? Was it something else? But again, when people see things like that, it's like, oh my God, they're putting cotton in a black boy's hair. This is racist. But again, knowing what I just showed y'all, let me see if I could put it up here again. Let me see. So that's who they said that they were mimicking. And his name is Jaron Lancaster, supposed to be a really good baseball player. I think he's the pitcher on whatever team he's on. So it looks like they were, kind of trying to do his hairstyle. And this is the other picture. As you can see, it's not only the black boy in question, but there was a white boy also with cotton in his hair. Just, so I could throw that out there instead of me just telling you about it. So, all right. And so Complex Blackness, she says, I showed my sons and told them, you don't let no one touch your hair. Yes. And I think, especially us as black people, I think we've been taught that by our parents. Don't let people play in your hair. I know I was told that. Don't let people play in your hair, and when I would wear my hair in an afro or, twist it up, all over my head, I would have people want to touch my hair. And I'm like, I don't really care if you're white or you're black. I don't want nobody touching my hair. Because for one, it took me a long time to get my hair like this today. So I don't want you smashing my hair. Nah, just, you can look at it, but don't put your hands on my hair. So that's always been my take. And Michael says, I know that Philip Scott would not tolerate that kind of behavior from white children and their parents. Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody should tolerate that. I think what we should do is educate our children and, let them know while they may not have been doing that for nefarious reasons, they shouldn't have been doing it at all. Because for one, shouldn't allow people to just be touching all up on you and, touching all up on your hair and all of that. Because some people actually believe that people try to touch your hair to, steal your energy. It just all depends on what you believe. And I don't know, I've heard that before, but yeah, I don't think that should be tolerated because now, unfortunately, the little boy is the topic of conversation. And, people are questioning his parenting and his parents' parenting skills and, things like that. And so, yeah, I think it would behoove us to educate our children. And Marcus, you say, if you look at that black boy, you can clearly see he is not happy with these white boys, what these white boys are doing to him. And it is hard for him to take issue when everyone else around him is white. I guarantee you he has been taught to love your oppressor in the hopes that he doesn't oppress you. Yeah, I mean, and that's a really good point because a lot of times we are and have been, taught to, well, it's white people, that's okay. They don't mean any harm. And in some cases, some people be like, oh, well, it's an honor. It's an honor to have them touch me like this. I don't know. I'm not saying this is true for me and you, but some of us are that way in our thinking. And yeah, I don't want to rock the boat, so I'm just going to let them do it. And a lot of times too, this is why I say I have a problem with us sending our children to all white schools thinking that they're going to get a better education because what we just saw as far as them putting that in his hair, that's what they endure at those schools. They're kind of like the new toy at the school, and so they're ridiculed and, made fun of. And then they feel like, okay, well, I got to, try to acclimate and be as close to them or act like them so that they will like me more. And then they lose, if they've ever had it at all, knowledge of self. And then they end up with other issues like depression and just not feeling good enough because they were forced to fit in to a society that does not want them there just because, their parents may have a little bit of money or whatever, or live in a better neighborhood, if you will, to send them there. But it's like, yeah, they might be getting an okay education, but look what you're doing to the child itself. So I think that's a huge problem. And Bobby, how you doing? He says ignorance is ignorance of Black history. Yeah, and there should be some education going on there. And Robert, he says these are babies. You all are looking at this in grown people's eyes. And yeah, you're absolutely right. I've been a Black child before, as we all have been a Black child, and I've been around racism as a child. I've been made fun of by white people as a child, but luckily for me, I had, an upbringing. My father being a Nation of Islam, he has been that since he was 19. And so also my siblings and I being born into the Nation of Islam, one thing they do try to teach you is knowledge of self, right? So it bothered me, the things that they would say, but not much because I was taught that, Black is beautiful and that kind of stuff. And so I knew enough history to make it, at a young age. But a lot of our Black children aren't getting that education. So I totally agree with you. We are looking at it through different eyes, and we're also looking at it through more educated eyes. So, and Kenneth, how are you? Says, love your show, beautiful. Thank you so much. I love and appreciate you for that. And Trev, how are you doing? He says, what happened to keeping your hands and feet to yourselves? I totally agree with that. And I think that's really another thing we should be teaching our children. It's okay to tell people, no, you can't touch me. Keep your hands to yourself. And then you also keep your hands to yourself, right? Like you got all those hands touching on it. And furthermore, monkeypox is running around. And Robert says, through grown people's eyes. Okay. And David says, stay out of Black people's hair. Yeah. It almost becomes like a petting zoo type of thing. Oh, can I touch your hair? Oh, does it feel like cotton? What does it feel like? It's like, well, you'll never know because you're not going to put your hands on my hair. You can look at it, but you cannot touch my hair. And I'm not one of those people who get all, blown out of proportion and get mad like that. But I think it's a little bit offensive to ask somebody, especially somebody Black, can I touch your hair? It's like, why? Why do you want to touch my hair? Because I want to see what it feels like. But what is that going to do for you? Like, I'm not a pet, And Michael, you say, when white parents don't educate their children at a young age about slavery, racism, and white supremacy, it's too late for them to educate their children. No, it's never too late because indeed, there's a lot of people, not just Black, but people when they get older, they get educated because they learn things on their own, right? They may say, okay, I didn't know about that. Let me go dig in the crates or the books or whatever to see if I can learn more about it. But it's never too late to educate yourself about white supremacy or whatever it is. And Brother Reggie, how are you doing? Says this is not cool. And the young brother does not look happy. Yeah, he didn't look happy. But there was one video, and again, I wish I could show it to y'all, but I can't upload it, where he was kind of celebrating, yay, like we finally did it, right? Like we put the cotton in my hair, or we are looking like the Jerron Lancaster, that's the other baseball player. So I don't know. But yeah, from that picture that we've been seeing in the video, he did kind of look dejected, like, what can I do? So I don't know. Maybe too, he didn't like it. And then he was like, okay, well, let me pretend like I like it. So that could be true too. And CG says, a better education in racism. Yeah, I for the life of me, I don't understand why Black parents shield their children, or they try to shield them from racism. They think like if I don't teach my kid about racism, it'll go away, or like it'll escape them or something. That has been weird to me. I don't teach them so that they don't go to a rude awakening, or the first time they're called the N-word by somebody. It's not like, it doesn't just take all of the wind out of their sails. They're like, hey, you know what? I knew it was coming, but I know that doesn't have a direct reflection on me. That has a reflection on you, right? They don't internalize that. So we should, educate them about racism. Michael says, I understand why Black parents prefer their children to attend a Black-owned and operated school, homeschool their children, or send them to Black-owned and operated private schools. Yeah, absolutely. Because everybody else, they send their children to other schools that reflect how they are and who they are. They get knowledge of self. Like, Jewish people, they send their kids to schools that teach them about being Jewish and, all of that. And I do know the Nation of Islam, they have Muhammad's University and all of that, where they teach their children. So they're teaching them about knowledge of self and things. So yeah, we should do that more often. And if you can't send your kid to a Black school, they should be getting that education in the house. And then you say correction. When white parents don't educate their children at a young age about slavery, racism, and white supremacy, it's too late for them to educate their children. Okay, got it. Well, I guess that's another question. Can white people unlearn being racist? Do they have the ability to do that? Because, to a lot of people, to a lot of white people, I think it's ingrained. It's like second nature to just be that. And I think in a lot of cases, they're just like, oh, well, I thought that was normal. I thought that's how we treated Black people, So can they unlearn that? And Albie, how you doing? Yes, thumbs up, please, if y'all are watching. I appreciate that. And you also say they don't even ask, they immediately reach to touch. Yeah, that's when you're going to get that You know, like, I don't care if I was bald. Like, you shouldn't put your hands on me. Like, why? But that's the other thing too. I think sometimes with white people, they don't have boundaries. They just feel like, it's a Negro. I'm gonna touch it. It's like, no, you're not. Uh, and Kennedy says, I just want to know where the idiot grown-ups at this situation should have never took place. Well, it looks like I don't know if they were in the stands or if they were in the bullpen. Is that what you call it in baseball? So usually probably wouldn't be parents, but yeah, where were the coaches, right? Because I've seen some chatter about it on Twitter, and they were saying that the coaches should be fired and the club should be shut down for a year or suspended or something like that. So I don't know if they were around. And Trev, he says, was a main rule in elementary and middle school, high school. Different story with all the stages they go through. Yes, indeed. And Michael says, Demetra, what do you think about Black parents applying the Second Amendment to protect their children from white predators, public parks? Well, everybody else teaches their children about guns, how to operate them, gun safety, I should say, or owning a firearm. So I don't see anything wrong with that. I mean, I think everybody should, for the most part, I know about guns, and it's their right. So they say per the Constitution. Look, I have a little book about the Constitution, so I can thoroughly read through it. But yeah, I don't have a problem with that at all because everybody else does it. Monet, how are you doing? And Moni, what's going on with you? He said, good evening at 6:40, Demetra. I'm so glad to see you on. I hope that you'll start coming on back on Thursdays. I miss your beautiful vibe. You're lacking your signature lipstick. It's fun and beautiful. One day I'll put the red lipstick on, but today I just kind of felt like not having it. But I love and appreciate you for that comment. I want to come on by myself every once in a while so we can have a conversation. And Michael says, when white parents don't educate their children at a young age about slavery, racism, and white supremacy, it's too late for them. Okay, so I think I read that one already. And Moni says, I've heard the story on a couple of different other shows, and I think that the mother, which seems like she's a standard raccoon, okay, and out of her mind, but somebody in the family needs to sue right away. So there's more information going on about the mom. Is she okay with it? Is that what's going on there? And root trackers, how are you doing? He says it passed through their DNA. Yeah, I would agree with you on that one. And Moni, you say, my mother started teaching me early on, and thank God my mother is still alive. I think that this was the greatest insult of all times, and how these kids played it off like it was nothing big about it. Well, yeah, I mean, you think about it, maybe to them, it wasn't a big deal. Maybe they didn't really think they were doing anything wrong. And listen, I'm not trying to excuse their behavior. I'm not doing that. But I'm saying if we really kind of think about it from a kid's point of view, maybe they thought, well, he doesn't have a problem with it. It's not a big deal. We're just having fun. Maybe, and then maybe they did. I don't know, because kids nowadays are smart. Maybe they didn't know what they were doing is, kind of rooted in racism, Cotton and Black people, and he's sticking it in his hair, type of thing. So I don't know. And Ruth Tracker, you say they aren't doing any work to unpack thousands of years white people. Yeah, because they think that how they operate is normal. They don't have a big deal. I mean, like, we're still seeing people, and when I say people, white people, running around in modern day times wearing blackface. And it's like, where did you learn that was okay? It hasn't been okay ever, but really, as far as society, since what, I don't know, maybe the 1950s or 60s, I don't know when they really started saying, okay, we probably shouldn't be doing this, but they don't have a problem. Well, I was just going to a Halloween party. I didn't really think it was a big deal. Oh, I didn't know, right? Because we hear these dignitaries, politicians, pictures come out of them in blackface at a party back in the day, and they're like, well, it was just a costume to me, right? And greetings back to you as well. And David says it's a messy situation. Yeah, I mean, it is. And Michael, he says, Demetra, what would you do in that situation? Because white children think that they can touch Black people's hair. Well, I would say if it was my child, I would like to say that it would not have been my child, because my child, I don't like to use the word woke, but I educated her very early on. And I told you guys the story once before. I went to parent teacher night. My daughter was like, I don't know, 5 or 6. And it happened to be during St. Patrick's Day. So my daughter, she gets me by the hand and she brings me over to a board that had a whole bunch of leprechauns that were colored in, with crayons by the class. And she says, Mommy, which one is my leprechaun? I'm like, shoot, you already know. It's the black one. My daughter colored her leprechaun black. So right then I was like, okay, I'm on the right track. Because, a lot of times our kids do paint them pink or white or whatever, but my daughter painted her leprechaun black. So I would like to think that it would not have been me, but if that was my child, I personally would have said, well, you should not allow people to touch you, first of all. And what they did might have been very racist, trying to use you as the running joke. Because a lot of times they try to do that to make a joke or, go in jest about Black people, make us the whipping boy or the girl, the hardy ha moment. So I would have told her, don't ever allow them to do that again. And if I would have tried to go to the team and say, do you mind if I have a conversation with the rest of the team about what they did or what they may or may not have implied? And that's how I would have handled it. And William Terry, how are you doing? Thank you so much. And Angela says it's also was type of bullying. Yeah, you can look at it that way too. Were they bullying him? Because some people said he looked like he was kind of just not in the moment. He was just kind of, with his head down. So maybe he does get bullied. But let me say this, and let me ask y'all this. When we send our kids to an environment of people that don't look like them, isn't that kind of typical for them to get bullied? Because as I said earlier, they're kind of like the new toy. They're the new thing in the school. And so let's go play with them. Not like playing back and forth, but let's go bully them. Let's go say things. Oh, your hair is weird. Or you're eating that. And, why do you talk like that? And all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it could be seen as bullying. And Bo, how you doing? He says white Latino kids that did that. So it was white Latino kids that did that to him. Okay. And I want to say this, PGH, Big Dog, how you doing? Salute on to you as well. And Black Man, how are you doing? He says they do teach about racism and slavery and how good it was for them, that they want to go back to that time. Absolutely. So to that point, I mean, it's kind of hard for us to believe that they have no clue of what they were doing, because like you said, they do want to go back to that time. I mean, look at a lot of the laws that a lot of these, politicians are trying to enact, So, but the other question is, how soon before we actually go back to that? At the rate they're going and at the rate we are not going as Black people, like not really stepping it up to try to, help ourselves a little bit more and not be in that situation. And let's see here. Don, how are you? Yes, I'm solo today. Now, y'all might not remember, but if you look back at some of my older videos, I was by myself. Then, I brought other people on, of course, Donovan. But I'm just going to try to go solo a little bit more. I won't say I'm going to be here every Thursday, but I'll be here, maybe try like once a week by myself, if that helps. And let's see here. And then Mona says, Demetri, there's a time that that a thing is wrong. There is times that your parents, books, schools don't have to tell you that something is racist and stupid, and they know what they're doing. Yes. So I'm not saying they didn't know. I mean, it's very possible that they did know what they were doing. I don't know. But yeah, a lot of them do. And Michael says, Demetri, did your daughter at a young age attend a Black-owned and operated public school, homeschool your daughter and send her to a Black-owned and operated private school? No, she did not. She went to a public school system, and I would say it was a good school. It was in a better neighborhood, but it was a good mix of everybody at the school. But I was one of those parents that was very active in my daughter's education. They knew me at the school. Her teachers knew me. Eventually, when my daughter became a senior, she was the president of the Black Student Union, like her mother. When I was a senior in high school, I was the president of the Black Student Union. In fact, I started the first Black Student Union at my school because I graduated in '89 and the school was there since 1965. they had not had a Black student union. I was like, you know what, we need one. So I started the first Black student union. And so back to my daughter, I was very involved. And so I didn't leave very much room for people to mistreat my daughter, whether it was a teacher or students or any of that kind of stuff. I was really quick to get on. And I'll tell you a quick story. My daughter, when she was in elementary school, there was this white man by the name of Uncle Ron that would go pick up his nephew. And so one day my daughter gets in the car and she tells me, she's like, Uncle Ron, because I guess all the kids knew him, he called me the N-word and told me, to get away from here or something like that. And I said, oh, he did, huh? So parked the car, got out, went into the office and told the ladies in the office, hey, yo, Uncle Ron just called my daughter the N-word. What y'all gonna do about it? You know what those white ladies told me? Oh, Uncle Ron is harmless. He didn't mean anything by it. I said, oh, yeah, all right. So I said, I'll be back. The next day, it wasn't me. It was her crazy ass daddy. He went in there and told those white ladies, if I see Uncle Ron, he says, I'm bum rushing him in front of kids, in front of teachers. I don't care who's around. I am bum rushing him. So he says, y'all better get him before I do. And we didn't see Uncle Ron anymore. I was like, y'all should have listened to me, but y'all made me bring her daddy up here. So that's how I deal with stuff. I'm not going to be like, oh, honey, he didn't mean anything by it. Nah, we're going to do something about it. So I hope that helps. Moni says, think about the psychological harm that is going to happen to this young man because of stupidity and racism like this, which is not right at all. When you hear the mother speak, it's inexcusable. So I didn't hear the mother speak about it at all. So I guess I'd have to check it out. Eric, how are you doing? Says they are thumbing their noses at us all day, every day. But what are we going to do about it? And what have we been doing about it? Because from what Moni is saying, the mom is like, well, it kind of sounds like she was excusing it. So there you go. And Complex Blackness, he says, when my sister was in junior high, a white teacher had a poster with cats. One cat was black and scraggly. The other was white and neat. A caption read, we all can't be perfect. Yes, you know what? It's funny because I have actually seen that poster before, but it's like, they know what they're doing. Because, of course, they say, oh, I didn't mean anything by it. It was just the cat was black. Nah, you know what you're doing because a child that sees that all day long in the classroom, of course, they're going to think, well, is there some correlation here between the cat being black and then I'm black? Am I also supposed to think that I'm raggedy and, unkempt, if you will? So, yeah, they know exactly what they're doing. And I would say if you're a teacher, you're supposed to be a little bit more elevated than that. Why would you put that up there knowing that might send some weird signals to people, right? And let's see here. Also say, my sister told my father and he went up to the teacher, told her, next time my daughter shows up, it needs to be gone. The teacher took it down. There you go. And that's what needs to be done. Like, I'm not trying to scare you or be disrespectful, but I cannot have my child sitting in a classroom that she sees that all day and then she thinks that about herself. So good job to your father. And David says, white politicians stuck in 1897. Absolutely. And they definitely are trying to go back to that. And Marnie says, when I was in school, me and my cousins, because of our complexion is lighter, kids would say that their mommy says that it's okay to play with us because we were the right skin tone. Yeah. And was that white parents or black parents who said that? But yeah, I mean, that's really stupid to think just because a person is one color or another, they're worthy or not worthy. It's crazy. You also say, or want to touch your hair. And I stop them in the process and I tell them, don't put your hands on me ever. And that has been in recent last, say 7 years, even that Greektown casino in Detroit. Really, yeah, I mean, why do you think you should be able to put your hands on people? We're not pets. And if anybody is allowing people to do that, rearrange your understanding and say, you know what? That it might be harmless as to why they want to touch me, but I'm not a pet. I think more highly of myself than allow somebody to be running their fingers all through your hair. Nah. Because first of all, I don't know where your hands have been, so no. And Latrell, how you doing? He says it was foul. Where was the coach? Stupid adults. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where the coaches were. From what I've seen, I'm not saying that they, there's no pictures or anything like that out there, but I haven't seen any coaches. So were they around? And if they were around, you would have maybe thought they would have said, okay, y'all knock it off. You don't do that. Pay attention to the game or whatever, but just stop doing that, right? David says, Uncle Ron about to get that work. Yeah. And my daughter's father did not play when it came to his child. Like, he's like, I'll catch a case. This will be totally worth it. But Uncle Ron will learn something today. I know that's not why he came to school, but he will get a lesson messing with my child. And I don't know what those white ladies said to Uncle Ron, but we never saw Uncle Ron again. So they must have let him know, yeah, her daddy is really crazy. And he lit into them too. It's like, what you mean? He's harmless. He's like, okay, well, I'm not going to be harmless when I see him. And Michael, you say, in your time, what you know now about racism and white supremacy, would you beg your parents to send you to a Black-owned and operated public school, create a homeschool program, or attend a private school? See, the high school I went to, it was a good mix of everybody. But you see, I went to high school in the 80s. So it was a good a mix of Black people, if you will. But yeah, sure, I guess I wouldn't have minded going to a all Black high school or school. I would have loved to do that. But I will say this to y'all, and I'm sure I've maybe said this to y'all once before. My 9th grade year, I was bullied, but I was bullied by my own people. The sisters and some of the brothers, they did not like me. They never put their hands on me, but they would say certain things. And I told the story once before. It was my Mexican friend, Esther. And, her homegirls, they was, the real cholas, with the eyeliner and all that. I have actually made friends with her that summer. We worked at a summer job together, and she was a little older than me. And one day she saw the sisters messing with me. Lunchtime, they would kind of all come around me and talk about me. And what it was, I dressed nicely, but they didn't know that I had a summer job and that I bought my own school clothes and I paid to get my own hair done. And I always had a talent to do hair. They didn't know that. And so I don't know if they were jealous. Maybe I thought too highly of myself. I don't know what it was, why they did that to me. But she saw them and she says, why are they messing with y'all? Why are they messing with you? I said, I don't know. So she says, if they do it again, let me know. So they did it again, and she just happened to see it, and she brought all her homegirls over there. She told them, if I ever see y'all messing with Demetra again, y'all gonna have to answer to us. And they stopped. So I don't know where I was really going with that story, but yeah, I would have liked to go to a Black school, but that was just kind of my experience being in the 9th grade. My whole 9th grade year, it was just like, oh, here we go today type of thing, So I don't know. And Moni, you say, Demetra, have you noticed that all of this stuff has been popping out continuously within the last 5 years or better? That I have noticed coming out of the Obama and get extremely hard in 45 era. So you mean during the Obama administration, that what you're saying, you started to notice a lot of things? Yeah, I think a lot of people will say that there, I guess, was, I don't want to say an uptick of racism, because I think that it's kind of always been there. But I think, yes, since there was this Black president, I know some people say he wasn't Black, but this Black president in the White House, yeah, a lot of people, they hopped out of the closet with their racism. So yeah, sure. Yes, please, if y'all could like and share this, I would love and appreciate you. I forgot to put my other banner up. But yeah, I'd appreciate it if y'all could like and share this. And Michael, you says, touching Black people's hair reinforces the Tuskegee experiment. Yeah, I guess I could kind of see where you're going with that. The Tuskegee experiment was that, of course, you guys already know that Black men, predominantly Black men, had syphilis. And instead of them just giving them penicillin, they told them that there really wasn't a cure. And they tried all these other, experiments, mercury and different things like that to see how they will respond to those things. And yes, that was pure racism to think that Black people, we'd respond differently, medically speaking, to certain things, but, to test us out as guinea pigs. And a lot of our people during the Tuskegee experiment died and, lived horrible lives physically because white people, and they use black people as well, to do that to them. So is the hair thing kind of like that? I get where you're going with that, but not as extreme. That, it's just them wanting to see what a hair feels like. I don't know. And David says, class of 88 in the house. Yeah. And then Roots Tracker says, I was in high school in the 80s too, Queen. Yes, the 80s rule. And Robert says, scroll down to the second video. So did you, is there another video on here? I don't know what that is. Okay. And then Monet says, I went to high school in White, Kentucky. Ooh, that I remember in 8th grade, a white boy said something to the effect of black people can't swim and laugh. I heard the N-word more than once. Yeah. I'd imagine you heard, because I went to high school in California, little bit more on the liberal side. I'm not saying that it's not as racist. It's more covert than in the South is overt. But yeah, I'd imagine you did. I mean, I was called the N-word more times than I care to remember. But I will tell you this, at least back then, they didn't do it to your face, right? Like they was running by, or maybe they was in a car or something and they, did it real fast. I can't tell you how many times I heard that. No. But the car was speeding by fast. So I was like, yeah, you're a coward, whatever, right? And then you also say, I can't say I feel sorry for Eastern Kentucky and the floods they had. Yeah, well, God is like, yeah, I got to do some correcting around here. I mean, I honestly believe that's what's going on because, as you said, with the floods, we're seeing some unprecedented weather go on around the United States. I mean, here in Texas, Houston, Texas, it doesn't seem like it rains as much as it used to. So, that's kind of weird. And then a couple of months ago, they had like some wildfires that was pretty bad. So I don't know. Freddie, how you doing? And David says, sometimes you have to bring the team, quote unquote, to school, cousins, neighborhood, whoever, let these so-called bullies know. Absolutely. I was always cool. As long as they didn't put their hands on me, I was straight, but because I know how to fight, right? But if they put their hands on me, that's a different story. I mean, it was just really annoying. It's like, what's y'all problem? Like, I don't even hang out with y'all, or none of that. Like, I don't know. Like, what is your problem with me? It was just weird. And the crazy part is, too, I went to church with some of those girls. Went to church with some of them. When we go to school, it was back on and cracking. And Money says, I think if as a woman we put beautiful stick pin in our hair, that soon touch it, cuts the fingers like the scene from Pam Grier. I knew that's where he was going with that classic. Demetra, I went to being harassed and bullied, always dark girls. Yeah, we just need to teach each other to love each other, regardless of what color we are. But again, that kind of stuff is taught to us as well, right? To be hateful toward each other. I remember my mom talking about that. She was born in the 40s, that they did the brown paper bag testing and all of that. So here we are still behaving that way. So we need to reprogram ourselves. Freddie B, you say class of 86. And then Roots Tracker, you say class of 87. Yes, those good old 80s. Nothing like it, right? And Marty says, the racism that I experienced came with my own from men that was very dark, always wanting to fight me for no apparent reason, which is why I don't ever date one now to death, do me apart, my choice. So you say you don't date dark-skinned men? Is that what you're saying? And then Michael says, Demetra, Donovan so well. Why is he afraid to move to Houston, Texas? I understand that he does not want to feel restricted in terms of navigating covert or overt racism. Well, he's actually born in the South in Louisiana. So, and Donovan world traveled and he's been all over the world, all over the United States. I just doesn't want to be in the South, from what I understand, due to it kind of, in his words, it's kind of like left behind. And, he's doing good in California. And where he's at in California, you can't beat it. You're 45 minutes from Los Angeles, 55 minutes to the beach. Las Vegas, you're a 3-hour drive. The mountains, you're about an hour drive. So he's I wouldn't want to leave either, to be honest, if I was in Donovan's situation. He's doing all right where he doesn't need to leave. Black man says, don't forget those people don't was their hands, or don't wash their hands after using the bathroom. Yeah, that's another thing. Like, I don't know where your hands have been. I don't want you putting your hands all on me. You can look at it. If I really want to, I can describe to you, but I'm not going to be, no, I'm not a pet. And I really think we need to understand we are not pets, even though, and I think that's kind of where a lot of people are having an issue with the little boy in, the baseball thing, is because it did look like he was a pet. They used to do that to us. They used to put us in human zoos, even right there in New York. They had human zoos where people would pay. And Oda Banga is a guy, you guys can look him up. It's Otabenga, Oda Banga. He was put into a human zoo, if you will. He was taken from his homeland in Africa. I forget exactly where, but they filed his teeth down, made him look like shark teeth, like a animal teeth. And they had him, kind of doing animalistic things. And he was finally rescued, but white people went and paid money to see him. It was a human zoo. And then eventually, after they rescued him and tried to, rehabilitate him because he became an alcoholic and things like that, he ended up taking his life because he could not escape what they did to him. And so we need to remember history. As far as concepts, study history. And we will know to not allow people to do that to us, even though they may not have had racist intentions. It could have just been, subliminal, if you will. But the optics of that is that you are a pet. You are in like a zoo, right? And Moni says, when you go in Japan and China, they got a bad habit of wanting to touch Black people's hair. At the end of the day, you have to put a stop to these people. Keep you something sharp in your hair at all times. Well, although I understand what you are saying, you can get in trouble for doing that. Believe it or not, it's not legal to put that in your hair because people have to know that that's in your hair, even though I guess and I know it sounds kind of weird, but they have to know what they are getting into. You have to have some sort of a warning. I tell you a story. My dad, and it was my stepfather, he had a Mercedes, and it was a nice Mercedes, and this was in the 80s, and he had the nice little hubcaps and stuff. And for whatever reason, people would steal his hubcaps, and he probably had like to replace it 5 times his hubcaps. And so one day he was like, I'm gonna put some razor blades, by the hubcaps, and when they go get it, it's gonna cut their fingers up. And then somebody said, well, that's illegal. You can't do that. And he was like, why? He says, because you have to warn them that, they're potentially in danger if they do that. And somebody does that and they cut their hands up, they could sue you. You guys have heard of situations where people broke into somebody's house and got hurt or something crazy, and they ended up suing the homeowner. Weird. Doesn't sound right, but it's a thing. So yeah, you kind of got to warn them like, hey, you know what? I got some razor blades in my hair. And so let's see here. And Robert, he says, I tried to post a link that shows the kid flexing, but you must have a blocker that prevents me from posting a link. Yeah, I don't know. I know a lot of social media platforms, especially if it's live. I don't know if it'll let you post a link. I don't have a blocker on there. And I actually tried to upload it, but it wouldn't let me do it for some reason. And so I did see that video of him flexing and kind of laughing about it. And Moni, you say, what I mean by that is if somebody is disrespectful to put their nasty hands in there, in your hair, if they ran it across your head and their hands come up bleeding, that would be on them, not you. I get it. But from what I understand, they have to be warned that that's the case. So I guess you have some warning signs on your head. There's razor blades in there if you touch me, just like if you go to a business and they might say, beware of the dog, or there's barbed wire. You have to see the barbed wire or something like that. I don't know. I could be wrong. And Michael, you say, Demetra, besides wallet issues, moving to Texas, why did you consider moving to that state? Racism getting worse in California, tired of being the majority, etc. Well, I actually moved out here to be with somebody, and for whatever reason, that did not work out. It's not my first time being in Texas. I came to Texas in 2013, lived out in Humble for about a year, and then I went back to California. Um, I had also moved out there and here to be with somebody. Had gotten married for 10 months, and that didn't work out either. So that's actually why I am here. Probably wouldn't have moved to Texas for any other reason other than that, and so I just decided to stay for now. I would love to go back to California, but I know now that yes, California right now for me, economically speaking, would be kind of hard to do. I mean, I could probably do it, but I wouldn't have a quality of life. In California, you are always, hustling because you have to. Just rent alone is very high, and gas and everything. So yeah, that's why I decided to stay. But all of my family, with the exception of my daughter, she is here. She is going back to California. All of my family is in California. Um, and let's see here. And Roots Tracker says, I remember. And David says, a whole cotton stuffed animal. Yeah. They put the whole animal, the stuffings from the animal in his hair. So again, they said that they were making fun of the other baseball player that had a white mohawk. And I guess he dyes his hair that color. And Monet says, and some of our brothers and sisters are willingly in relationships with them folks who are related to those whom put us in human zoos and through slavery. Yeah, I just know that for me, I always say I love black men. I really do. And so I could not see myself with any other man other than a black man. My daddy's a black man. And to me, I would deem that as disrespectful to be with somebody other than a black man because my dad is a great black man who has set a great example of a father. And so I just never had any reason to think about dating something new or any of that kind of stuff. Now I have had other men, come on to me, if you will, but I was nice about it, like no, thank you type of thing or whatever. But I've just never been attracted to anything other than a black man. So, uh, so yeah, as far as dating somebody outside of your race, I think that comes from studying history as well. Study history. Another thing too is, are you going to be welcome at the dinner table, or are you potentially going to somebody's house who, let's say if I was, and I want to say if, and I'm not, because somebody will come in later and say, oh, Demetra K is with a white man. I said, if I was, right? I'd imagine the first time me meeting his parents, he's had to have that talk with them. Well, my girlfriend, she's black. Oh my God, why you bring? Listen, times have changed, and I love her, and I'm bringing her to dinner, whether you like it or not. And if you don't, then I just won't come around anymore. Now, they've had to have that conversation. And so here I am going to be sitting at the table, eating some seasonless casserole, trying to force a conversation, with his parents and family. I don't want to be in that situation because I know they would probably rather him be with a white girl. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just like there's nothing wrong with us saying I would rather you be with a black woman or a black man. So, yeah. And then Roots Tracker, he says, I'm born and raised in Southern California. Same here. Well, I was born in Northern California, Oakland, but raised predominantly in Southern California. So I am Southern California. You could say raised anyway. And Michael says, I understand that Donovan was born in New Orleans. I think it was New Roads, Louisiana, something like that. Do you think that it would make sense to live in proximity because you live in Houston and Philip Scott believes in 100% unity? So are you saying that, do I believe that we should live all together? Well, it's known that the majority of black people in the United States do live in the South. So most of us are in the South. and we're kind of just spread out here and there within the United States. But yeah, I think where there's power in numbers. So yeah, sure, absolutely. And you also say, if you decide to return to California and I run for governor in your state, do you want me to deport all illegal immigrants living in that state? I could be like Donald Trump to stop immigration. I will say this: deporting them, I'm not against it, type of thing. I think that everybody should have to follow the rules to come over here. But I would say, speaking as a Black person in America, that illegal immigration does hurt Black people, because predominantly in the service industry is Black people for now. Maybe it's kind of shifting a little bit to more Hispanic, but coming over here does hurt us, right? It takes things away from us and things like that. I even saw yesterday that the Biden administration is talking about federally putting some things in place to make it harder for DACA to be overturned once they leave office. I saw that yesterday. I didn't completely read the article, but I did see that. And so, I think everybody should have to come over here legally. So I guess that's where I was kind of going with that. Monet says, the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice, the darker the flesh, the deeper the roots. Yes, dear Tupac there. Absolutely. And Donovan, how are you doing? Says, good evening, Aunt D and everyone else. I'm catching the show and we'll rewatch later tonight after my gym session. Yes, indeed. And get it in for me too, because I didn't work out today. I had some other things to do, but I usually work out every day. And Angela says, Black men are the most handsomest to me. To me too. I mean, I just really couldn't see being with anybody else. Yes, David, Black love, always. And Michael says, Demetria, if I were you, you are better off living and retiring in Texas because you feel safe and happy over there. Now, I don't know about feeling safe, because Texas is kind of weird, with the laws and I'll be honest with y'all. I'm even to the point to where I'm kind of afraid to vote. And let me tell you why. Because when I registered to vote, I'm nonpartisan. But I was kind of told that I had to be one or the other. Like I guess they don't have a nonpartisan thing on the ballot. So when I went to vote a couple of months back, I, registered for a Republican. I was like, well, I'm probably more on the Republican side at this point than a Democrat. So then I asked him, I said, well, how do I vote here? And then she was kind of telling me, you have to vote with your party in certain elections. And then for other elections, you can kind of vote the way you want. And so then on the voter registration card, let me see if it's in my desk here. It kind of says if you don't vote one way or the other, you could be fined to go to jail. And I'm like, the hell? So yeah, it's right here. It's just got a lot of y'all can't see it, but it's got a lot of stuff going on there. It's my voter registration card. But so I'm like, do I vote or do I go to jail if I make the wrong decision? So what I say all that to say, Michael, is there's a lot going on here in Texas that's very confusing. And I know it's probably done that way on purpose. But I'm not in love with a lot of the laws and things here. And just so I kind of just stay in the house a lot to not, be in harm's way. And, I don't have family out here. So it's just kind of me and my daughter. So I just kind of try to, tiptoe, if that makes any sense. And Beverly, how you doing? Yeah, can you imagine going to his house and you're eating a seasonless casserole and you got to lie and say, ooh, now this is good. And it's like, I don't know. And David says, I love my beautiful Black sisters, the original and only women for me. I know that's right. And Julian, how are you doing? He says, get rid of Governor Gavin Newsom. And let me ask you, what problems do you have with Gavin Newsom? Because it sounds like he may throw his hat in the ring as far as president. So what problems specifically do you have with Gavin Newsom? And of course, he's the governor of California. And Monet says, I'm not into divesting, but if Jason Momoa came up and said, let's be together, I'm going. So of course, y'all know that is, what is he, Aquaman? He was dating or married to Lisa Bonet. So you said you'd give it a whirl. What is he, Samoan or something like that? All right. And a divine life, how are you doing? It says Texas isn't any safer. Yeah, I don't get those vibes here in Texas. Like, huh, it's safe. I don't get that, right? I don't know. Just kind of, I don't know. Like I said, being in California my whole life, I've lived in other places briefly, Illinois, Texas before. Lived in Louisiana as a child. My sister was born there, but mostly California. And I will say this, and I'm sure most of you have been, but there's no place like California. You cannot beat the weather, just the things to do. It's just a different palm trees, all of that. Jay, the informant, how you doing? Michael says, Demetra, I have an Asian friend who is interested in dating Black women. He is not sure because the racial history between Asians and Blacks is not that great. Advice, I mean, I say to each his own. I can only speak for myself and what I would date. But I mean, if he wants to date a sister, I mean, like, who doesn't, right? He wants to date a sister, sure, why not? There's a lot of sisters out there who like to date Asians, but as for me personally, I'm for dating somebody who looks like me. But yeah, there's a lot of people who like sisters. And so Robert says, paying immigrants stimulus, COVID, rent protection. Yeah, that ultimately takes away from us. They come over here and they have all these protections and things like that, when Black people don't even have, aren't really privy to a lot of the things that they get. So that's why I'm against illegal immigration. I think because we can't go into their country and say, hey, I'm staking my claim here and I'm going to do it illegally. They wouldn't let you do that there. Yeah, you can go visit. But as far as just, I'm not going to do it right. I'm just going to be here to live and not go through the, protocol. Yeah, I don't think they would let us do it. And Michael says, Demetra, I said safe in terms of arming yourself, having a majority of Black people in Houston, Texas, etc. I guess, but again, I don't know a lot of people, so if I knew a lot of people, then yeah. And I want to say this too. I have had quite a few people reach out to me, say, I know you're here by yourself kind of thing. If you ever need anything, reach out to me, let me know. So for sure, I've had people say to reach out to them. So I don't want to say I'm completely by myself. But in California, I didn't really feel the need to be armed. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it ain't the Wild Wild West, because it is sometimes, but I didn't feel like I needed to do that. And then that might have something to do with me being familiar with California. Like, I know where the spots are where I can feel safe and not feel safe. And, so I'm familiar with California. But Texas, I'm still learning, like, where to go and where not to go. And, for God's sakes, there's like sundown towns in Texas. Now, there's probably some in California. I never heard of it. Not saying that there's not, but yeah, I got to be careful where I roll around here. So, and Roots Tracker, he says, if Gavin is pulling through, there's no problems now. I think he's running for POTUS in 2024. Yeah, that's what I've heard. And Michael, you say, Demetra, why does Donovan keep ignoring my anti-immigration stance on Sundays? I don't know. I don't know that he is. So I think next time on Sunday, you'd have to ask him. I don't know. And David, you say, Philly is sanctuary city, a mess. Yeah, and there's a lot of them. California, for sure. Wilbur, how you doing? And Robert, you say we have 12 million illegals living good, and we can't afford rent. Hell no, we don't need Gavin Newsom. Yeah, so I understand that stance. But he's a Democrat as well, so that's kind of a Democratic talking point. But what about the other stuff that Gavin has done, in relation to Black people? Are you familiar with any of those things? And Harley, how are you? He says, it's a lot of fake YouTubers on here preaching Black on Black relationships and marriage. However, they're in interracial relationships themselves. Yeah, I think you should just, be upfront with what it is that you're doing, because people are going to find out eventually, right? So, yeah. And Jay the Informant says, I'm in Texas over in Houston. They're trying to gentrify the north side, and all the opportunities seem to be taken up by white companies. Yeah, because they're like, we're taking it back. They were ran out of those neighborhoods, when segregation ended and white flight took place, and they're like, well, we want it back now. So that's why I always talk about city sanctioned genocide. And what I mean by that is, y'all don't think these politicians know that all the crime is going on in those neighborhoods? They could do something about it if they wanted to, but they're like, we'll let them take each other out. We'll let them take each other out, and eventually we'll be able to go in there and take back the community and put in walkways and bike lanes and see white women rolling through there with the poodles and all of that. And so that's done by design, to move us out of there so they can take it back. And that's why you hear also they have these, affordable, affordable housing things. So they have these high rises that they're putting back up. Now, a lot of people who've lived in the inner city, especially like in Chicago's and New York's and things like that, what did they also call those high-rise affordable housing buildings? Call them the projects. That's what they're doing. They're just building projects to put all of us back in there, so we'll be in one space again, so they can go back to suburbia that we live in now. And David says, Houston got Willie D, Jay Prince, and Scarface. Yes, indeed. And I sometimes I see Willie D on YouTube. And David says, NOI downtown Houston too. Yeah, I keep saying I need to go by there because I like to start getting the Final Call newspaper. When I was in California, I get them all the time from my dad. So I would love to be able to go down and just to visit, And Rain, how are you doing? And Michael says, Demetra, you know that California is not a majority Black population because I don't want you to continue to suffer from covert discrimination. Philip Scott said, I like my white supremacy open. Yes, me too. I like it in the front. But I think I'm more or less speaking from a point of view of that's where all of my family is. Well, my sister, she lives in Florida. I guess I could go there if I really wanted to go somewhere else. But I've been in California my whole life. And like I said, there's absolutely nothing like it. I've been different places. But California, the traffic sucks. Now, the traffic is horrible. But as far as living there, yeah. So like I said, it might be because I'm familiar with California, but sure. Robert says, no, not prosecuting criminals, letting criminals out of jail. Gavin Newsom got to go. Okay. But I know they have that same issue too in a lot of other states. Not saying that is right. Gavin obviously being from California, Gavin Newsom was also my governor. But I would say one of the things, Roost Tracker is 7%, probably less than that. Gavin Newsom, the one thing that I like that he did, now, of course, y'all know he's kind of doing this reparation thing. But the other thing that I like that he said, as long as I'm governor, I will not be pulling the switch on death row because I know that disproportionately there's a lot of Black people, people of color on death row who are innocent. And so he says, I'm putting a moratorium on that. So we're not going to be killing people. So I really like that because we know that a lot of our people, and especially a lot of states, they die on death row, even though there's a lot of evidence saying that they were innocent. So that's one of the things that I liked. And Michael says, Demetra, you never know that Houston, Texas will be your primary residence in the future. I mean, it is for right now. It might be, I'm California dreaming. I'm always California dreaming. But yeah, sure. I mean, I don't hate Texas. I hate some things about it, like the weather. When it rains and thunders and the lightning, it's like, damn, we can't keep the lights on around here. Like, what's really going on? So stuff like that, And I like to go outside a lot to work out. In California, there's mountains, and so I would mountain climb. There was a mountain by my house. I could see it from my house, and sometimes I would walk over there. And I would climb the mountain. And sometimes I would do it twice. Go up, come down, go up again. That's how I stayed really fit. And there's other mountains. I could go to Griffith Park. They had mountains in Los Angeles and Runyon Canyon. So there's a lot of things that I could do outdoors. In Texas, not so much, right? There's no mountains. And hell, I barely have any sidewalks around this piece. So I don't know. And Divine Life, he says, Dems are bringing in our replacements, those coming in legally as allies and it says aslees and refugees are going to obtain lots of help. Yeah, but the Democrats are making a mistake because those people tend to be more conservative more than anything. And so it's kind of like the bait and switch. Yeah, we'll let y'all get us in here, but then we're going to go on the conservative side. And Michael says, if you do decide to return to California, what policies should change in terms of closing the racial wealth gap, cash reparations, higher education, et cetera? Yes, definitely reparations, which sounds like Gavin Newsom is working on that. Not sure to what degree, but yeah, it's got to be reparations, higher education, affordable housing. So yeah, a whole host of things, most definitely. And Jay, you say, when it comes to Houston, is Turner still in charge? His lead aide just pled guilty. 3 of Hidalgo's aides are on trial, and Hidalgo is under investigation for funneling COVID-19 money. Well, yeah, that's the other thing too. It sounds like in Houston, there's a lot of corruption. It almost sounds like Gotham City, something very dark and a lot of things going on like that. But I don't know. Can you vote those people out? I don't know. And if so, why haven't they been voted out? That's the question that I have. And our Roots Tracker, you say that's good because in Oklahoma, they're killing 25 on DR, 1 a month. Oh, death row. Got you. Yeah. Yeah, I did hear that about Oklahoma. They're just like, next. So I would not want to be on death row in Oklahoma. I know there was a case too, not too long ago, where the guy, for what it seemed like he was completely innocent, but they're like, doesn't matter to us. Let's just keep pulling the switch, right? And David says the Terminator Arnold Schwarzenegger disrespected rookie, horrible governor. Yeah, he was a horrible governor, but we call him the Governator. We got. I don't believe I voted for him. And so long ago, I don't remember. But who was it? Gray Davis? Was it Gray Davis in office at the time? I think it was. And so I think it was more or less like, okay, we need something different. And Michael said, Demetria, why is it hard for your sisters and brothers to embrace Philip Scott's strategy of migrating back to Houston or the South? Some people, they just like where they are. It could be family. Some people really just do not want to come back to the South because, there's a lot of racism rooted in the South and still is. I mean, that's where slavery was, really prevalent in the South. And if you remember, a lot of Black people left the South and went up north in other places that seemed to be a little bit more friendly to Black people. And so a lot of Black people left the South. So a lot of Black people probably like, yeah, it's probably easier to live down there as far as the cost of living. But, I've heard about the racism, and then some of our people who are still alive, like my dad, he told me he would never come to the South. I was like, Daddy, come live with me. He says, I ain't lost nothing in the South. So, and my father's almost 80 years old, and he ain't coming back to the South. His family, from Texarkana. I think that's pretty much the South. So I'm sure there's a lot of things that he saw that he wouldn't want to see again. So I think that has a lot to do with it. And let's see here. Robert says, should they make in Cali, Little Mexico, and Little Nigeria with, he says, let's see, 10 houses and slums everywhere due to government mismanagement, both Democrat and Republican. Yeah, downtown Los Angeles especially, is like they giving those people the blues, like the homeless people and a lot of people. Yeah, but it's predominantly Hispanic, I want to say, in California. And yeah, Tukey Williams, y'all know the story of Tukey. A lot of people asked for him not to be executed, but he was anyway. So absolutely. Yeah, Roots Track, I know what you meant. Death row. And Michael says, Demetria, do you think that California should allow an open and carry state because Donovan is strongly pro Second Amendment? Yeah, I think so. I think that every state should allow that so you can protect yourself. But we know why California is not that anymore, right? We know why. Then Ronald Reagan, the governor, and the Black Panther Party took up arms, and they went to the state. Um, what was it? The steps of the state. It slips my mind. It's right on the tip of my tongue. But they went up there with their guns, and he was like, we gonna have to shut it down. And so that's why California is no longer open and carry. And Divine Life, it says, in some aspects, Texas is regressing under Abbott. The so-called Christian conservative patriots are running for various offices and winning. Yeah, they trying to take it way back. So to me, that is very concerning. Being in the South, that concerns me. So when you are from another state and you see that kind of stuff on the news, you're like, I'm not trying to go live there. I'm not trying to be up in the middle of that, and God forbid you go to prison in the state of Texas. Prison is horrible everywhere, but in the South, it's really bad. So yeah, it's just a lot going on in the South that would deter Black people from wanting to come here. And David, you say Terminator disrespected Tukey. Arnold Schwarzenegger was a horrible governor. Yeah, he was, but people got enamored by him being a movie star and, the Terminator and all of that. And yeah, he pretty much took California to hell. And Michael says, you understand that Philip Scott wants his brothers and sisters protected from liberal racism. Oh, absolutely. As do I. And, there's a lot of Black people, coming to the South, but there's some that just will not do it. There's power in numbers, but some aren't going to do it. And like I said, my dad and, Donovan, they're two people that I know immediately will not come to the South. And David, you said, oh, you were typing too fast. It's okay. And Landon, how you doing? It says soon, no more Karen or Brad Muzungu worldwide. Okay. And Michael said, Demetri, have you noticed that Philip Scott gets frustrated on his podcast because he tries very hard to get his brothers and sisters on code with Black unity? You are more understanding than him. No, I'm frustrated as well. I can't speak for Brother Phil, but trying to persuade, I guess I want to use the word, try to persuade our people of certain things. It does get frustrating sometimes because it's like, why don't you get it? Why don't you just listen? But I don't think he's bothered to the point to where he can't sleep at night. I think that's true for a lot of people. Marcus Garvey, you go way back then, he was frustrated. He even said, there's some Black people who are no good here, and they're not going to be any good when we go back to Africa. So some people you got to leave behind. So, it is the way it is. It's frustrating at times, but yeah, you're not going to lose sleep over it. And Gabriel, how you doing? He says, this is so sad. I'm disappointed the Black boy let them do that. Yeah, he probably just needs a little bit more information. His parents need to do a little bit more educating him that he should not allow people to treat him like a pet. You're not a pet. Do not allow people to do that to you, right? So that's really more on his parents' side. And, maybe he just felt like, well, maybe this is my way of fitting in. I don't want to rock the boat. Maybe they'll get mad at me if I protest about it or whatever. So yeah, he just needs a little bit more education. David, he says, South Philly got Mexicans he says, on one half of the Italian market, quote unquote, as seen as the Rocky movie. It ain't 1976 no more. That's funny. Divine Life, he says, who in the heck is Phil Scott to most Black people? Most Black people probably don't know who he is. Yeah, that's true. Most Black people probably don't, but he has, a lot of platforms, major platforms where he reaches a lot of people. So a lot of Black people do know, but yeah, like I said, I don't think he loses sleep over that. I don't think he's like, oh my God. I think, he's like most of us. We say what we got to say, and y'all too, because y'all try to speak to people and impart wisdom on them, and they're just like, I'm not listening, right? How many of us tried to teach our people, hey, listen, the elections is coming up. I know we traditionally vote for the Democrats, but let's not do that this time. Let's get this new information. Did you know that the Democrats, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, they did this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. And our people was like, I don't care. I'm voting blue no matter who. Shut your mouth. So that was frustrating, was it not? So It's the same thing. I mean, but it's a numbers game. Some people gonna listen, some people ain't, but we not losing sleep around here over that. We keep it pushing. Uh, and let's see here. And David says Phil keeps it real, 100 all day. And Michael says, here is a deal for Donovan. He can live in close proximity to you because he understands that Texas is strongly pro Second Amendment. You and him could look out for each other. I don't think a pack of wild horses could drag Donovan to the South. He's got family in the South, but he is not coming back to the South. Listen, trust me, when I tell you, Donovan is doing all right in California. He doesn't need to move to the South. You know what I mean? A lot of people move to the South because financially, they'll do better. Cost of living is a little bit better. But he doesn't have that issue. And he likes being in California. So, and most of his family lives in the South. He'll visit, but to move, I don't know what would make Donovan move to the South. And Kiana, how you doing? He says, I can't understand why some Black people don't get it. All you have to do is look around you and look at our history to know things aren't right. Absolutely. But we often have blinders on and thinking, oh, it's not that bad. Or how about this? Well, I've never experienced racism. They aren't like that to me. How many times have we heard that from our people? I'm doing good. They don't bother me. But then the minute they get bothered, they're like, I just need y'all to rally around me. This ain't right. But it's like, I thought you wasn't bothered. I thought you'd never experienced racism. I thought you were okay, So yeah, it's just, some people are just delusional. In Divine Life, it says, remember the young Black high schooler who let his fellow students use him as a human rug. I don't remember that story, but I don't doubt it. Yeah, we need to really just do a better job at teaching our children to like you are something. You are worthy. You're not inferior to them. Because a lot of times we send our kids to places, schools or whatever, and they believe that they're inferior to other people. And so they act accordingly, because there's no doubt in my mind, my daughter will be like, I'm not a toy. Don't put your hands on me. There's no doubt in my mind she would have said that, because she has been taught that you don't tolerate ignorance from them, which is why when she got in the car and she said, hey, Uncle Ron, call me the N-word, she knew that wasn't right. And she knew either her mama or her daddy was going to deal with the situation accordingly. She had that much sense. So we really just have to, do a better job at teaching our children. You are worthy, and you're worthy of respect. They are not better than you. You don't have to let them disrespect you. And Michael says, I know that you and Donovan supported Greg Marcel Dixon in the primaries. Dixon strongly supports free public higher education and advanced vocational training. Do you think that public HBCUs, that includes public HBCUs? I don't know. But why not? Because it's not free to go there. It costs money, right? And some of those HBCUs are rather on the expensive side. So yeah, I know why that wouldn't be the case. Yeah, they should be included. And David says, split the ticket. I ain't voting for Jim Kinney. Philadelphia's mayor is a clown. Vote y'all interest if you voted. Oh, yes. And that's what everybody else does. Vote your better interest. Don't vote because you've been told to vote for this party. Oh, the Democrats love Black people. Oh, they just this, that, and the other. Vote your interest. If there's somebody in a Democratic Party that is doing, not just talking, but doing the things that you like, sure, why not? But we have to get it out of our minds as Black people that we should be loyal to a fault to the Democratic Party, because they have not earned our vote. They've done nothing specifically for us, but they benefit the most from the Black vote, which is why they're doing so much now to try to, get at Black men. Hey, Black men. Oh, like Stacey Abrams. Black men, if you vote for me, I will win. It's like, yeah, you'll win, but then you'll go and do what you've been doing, catering to everybody else. So, of course, you'll win if Black men vote for you overwhelmingly. Same thing with Black women, but Why? Why should we help you win? Like, you winning also means us losing. So vote your interest, whatever that may be. And Michael says, Dimitri, do you need me to impart Philip Scott's message? Because I know how to persuade your people to migrate back to the South or move to 54 different African continents. I mean, I just think people are going to do what they're going to do. But I do believe in keep teaching, keep talking to our people. There's some people who, will listen. Like, there's a lot of people, going back to the election of 2020, who just wasn't having it. They were not going to hear it. I don't care. But now they're like, I've had a lot of people come on here and says, I should have listened. People did try to tell me, be careful. Don't vote for, the Democrats or whatever. I wish I would have listened. Yeah, y'all was saying Kamala was this, that, and the other. So now people have that information. So we should continue to speak for them. But I do want to say this, and I know that Brother Phil ain't saying this, but I know what I'm saying is we should not demonize people who don't want to do that. And so what I mean is, I know that Brother Phil is not demonizing people. He's just putting a new way of thinking or looking at our situation out there. And I actually knew, as I said, Marcus Garvey was telling us that over 100 years ago. Hey, let's blow this joint, right? So, but nobody's demonizing people for not wanting to do that. I mean, it's their right to do that, I personally don't have the money to take everybody, back to Africa or whatever. So I really don't have a say-so as to where people live, right? And Gabriel says, Dimitri, I have lived all over the country, north, south, east, and west. The worst racism I ever experienced has always been up north, especially in Minnesota, Michigan, and Illinois. I have heard that as well, because a lot of times people do think, oh, it's just the South. But I mean, there's racism everywhere. But I have heard that because a lot of our people actually moved, back in the day when they were migrating from the South to the North, like going towards Illinois and New York and stuff like that. And they had a worse time there, getting houses burnt up and, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, racism is everywhere. Just, is it in the open or is it hiding? That's really the question, I think. And Jan Michael says, well, that's questionable. And then Rain says, stand down in midterms 2020. Yeah. Hold the vote until we get something for it. That's my motto. I can't tell y'all what to do, but that's what I'm doing. I am holding my vote until I get something for it. And if I don't, then I'm not gonna waste gas money. I'm not gonna waste time standing in line to not get anything, right? Like Kamala said, no. That's what I'm saying. And Michael says, trust me, Donovan can take care of wild horses because he was well trained in the military. Yes, Donovan has a lot of skills, but he ain't gonna bring them to the South. David says, current mayor, gentrification and illegal immigration in Philly. Yeah, it's in a lot of places, to be honest with you. And Don, he says, I'm trying to see my way out of the America to the continent. Yeah, I would love to go live in Africa. I like South Africa. I would love to go live, in Johannesburg. But I can't go right now because, my dad is here and my dad is not going. My dad is, up in age and he's like, I'm going to be in California. So it would be a long way to travel to see my father. So, but eventually I would love to go live in Africa. And Rain says, this is Demetra's show, not Phil Scott's show. Beat it. Well, Phil and I and a lot of other people on the channel, we do share the same thought process. But yeah, I mean, having people go back to Africa, and Dr. Claude Anderson talks about it a lot too. People should move, to the South where there is more of us. So it's not an original thought. It's just one that's being taught more often. And Michael says, Dimitri, if your brothers and sisters need to learn more about my platform, it's okay to reveal my email because I have a Black agenda in case Jim Crow Joe does not do nothing for your people. Well, put it in the comment section, your email. I mean, if they're interested. But I don't think it's an if Joe Biden will do anything. I don't think that he's interested at all in doing anything for Black people because at this point, he knows he doesn't have to. He knows he's going to get the Black vote regardless. of what he does or does not do for us. So, Kiana, you say, don't be tricked by Biden's student loan forgiveness and run out and vote for him. This is going to end up in court. It will benefit immigrants more than black or white people. Yeah, a lot of people saying it is symbolism. I mean, it's a drop in the bucket. Some people, it does help them and gets rid of all of their stuff. But for a lot of people, it doesn't. But yeah, it's not it's not a reason to go vote and say, well, he did something, let's go vote. I mean, there's more that he can do, especially since, he's giving away so much money to everybody else. And, then at the end of his little speech, he was like, and if the payments will resume on the December 31st, and that's it. Almost like, don't ask me no more because I'm not doing this. Like, well, damn. And Don, you say, the worst racism I ever experienced was in a suburb of Boston while managing my merchandise at a concert. Yes, I heard Boston is with the stuff. I've heard that. So yeah, I wouldn't be interested going there either. And Lunch Eyes, I hope I'm saying that right. Says, Sister Demetria, you're looking beautiful. I appreciate that. Thank you. And Michael says, Demetria, have your father visit South Africa for at least a couple of days. Yeah, I believe he would love to do that. Yeah, he would love to. It's just a matter of getting him and going. Like my dad is really absorbed in his life. He's almost 80, he's 78. And he's, really active and he's got his own thing going. And so, yeah, I'm sure he would love to go. Next time I go, I would love to take my dad with me. So that's actually something that I have thought about. Thunder, how you doing? And Divine Life says, Malcolm X allegedly said the South is anything south of Canada. Exactly. Basically saying anything in America is the South. You're probably going to be treated the same everywhere. So good point. And Don says, hell, he wants to do anything for the white folks unless they're Ukrainian. Right, exactly. He's helping a lot of them just willingly, right? Like, they need more money. Sure. Write him a check. And Rain says it's a political stunt for the Democrats. You better believe it. And David says old crime Bill Joe and Donald Trump, wish the minister was president. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is wise. Yeah, I don't think Farrakhan wants those type of problems at all. I think he's more interested in saving his people, but I don't know. I've never heard him express that he would want to be president, but yeah, it would be awesome. Yeah, that those white folks will lose their minds. And okay, so you're saying I'm saying it right. Lunch eyes. Okay, so I'm saying it right. And Hardy says, we get it, bro. Your dedication to Phil Scott. Oh my God. Yes, indeed. And I mean, it's understandable why Phil is a real cool brother. Yes, indeed, if I may say so myself. So anyway, I don't see any more comments. I'm going to get out of here. As y'all can see, my voice is like tightening up. My voice, I've lost my voice permanently, I guess, for doing so much speaking. So sometimes can kind of get annoying. Thunder says, September is peak hurricane season, family stock up. Yeah, I'm already seeing it in like the sky. It's like, what's really going on here with the weather? So yes, I do my best to try to stock up. That's the part of being here that I don't love is the weather. I don't like it at all. It's scary. I don't like thunder. I don't like lightning and, any of that kind of stuff. So it makes me really nervous. And my dad, he does call me every day. Do you need me to get a boat? Do you need me to rescue you? Because, he watches the news. And so, of course, we know that Dallas was really going through it. And so I'm like, well, we're not there yet. There's not flooding and stuff there. But if I need you to come rescue me on your boat, I will send the bat signal. So, yeah, I'm not looking forward to that. Thunder and Harley. So I read that already. And David says, you already know those folks. Absolutely. It is my pleasure, Rain. It is my pleasure. And thank you. And Lunch Eyes, he says, but you have such a powerful voice, sister. I appreciate that. I really do. Yeah, it's kind of... it's a lot on my voice when I'm doing all of the talking. But when I rest my voice, like over the weekend and stuff, then it comes back. But, it's kind of, I heard that having a raspy voice is kind of sexy sometimes. But then again, maybe y'all thinking she sounds like Marge Simpson. I don't know. And Michael says, when white parents don't educate their children, at a young age about slavery, racism, and white supremacy, it's too late for them to educate their children. Maybe. Thunder says, at least here you get a warning for the hurricane, unlike the earthquake. Now, see, you ain't lying about that. Those earthquakes, you be there sitting there minding your business, and every time it happens, I mean, I'm talking about, because at my old house in California, I had a 2-story, and sometimes it would just be like this, where it would sway, and then sometimes it just shakes real fast, and then sometimes you're in your sleep and it just shakes you out of your sleep. Your heart damn near jumped out of your chest, and you can't go back to sleep because you're like, is this it? Is this the big one? And of course they have all the, what do you call it, the aftershocks after it, and you're like, oh my God. Like, it freaks me out. And then they say, well, go and get under the door frame. I'm like, this little ass door frame ain't gonna save me. If the house crumbles, or go get under a table. It's like, yeah, so the table could collapse on me. Now I'm good. Because they tell you, don't run outside because the lines may fall and all of that. So yeah, I don't like that either. So anyway, y'all, let me get on out of here. I'm gonna read y'all comments as I leave, since I'm able to do that now. Worldviews, how you doing? Thank you for the thumbs up. And I love you too, Kiana. And Thunder said, yes, it is. And Dave said, stay safe out there. Beautiful sister, no hurricane stuff. Yes, I am going to stay safe. I have been in the closet with my daughter a couple times because we got that warning. I'm like, this is so not cute to be in the closet, right? So I have a thing of water and stuff in there in case it goes down or whatever. And you like the raspy voice, Thunder? Okay. Jan Michael says, enjoy all, tapping out, and keep this with you. Smiles always. Yes, indeed. Thank you for being here. Michael says, you are 5 times better than Martin Luther King in terms of doing for self and boycotting the industry. Oh, okay. And Lunch Eye says, that's right, Thunder. And Rain says, move your dad to Texas. He ain't coming. He says, I ain't lost nothing in Texas. Or my sister tries to get him to go to Florida. He said he's lost nothing in Florida either. So he is in California to stay. So we try. I don't know. Maybe he'll change his mind. Or maybe we'll have to put a pillowcase over his head and kidnap him. Say, Daddy, you're in California. I'm just kidding. So Divine Life, you say, usually Houston floods, those bayous are no joke. Rarely floods in North Texas. Yes, I don't want to be in the flood. So anyway, I love y'all to death. I will see you guys live again on Sunday with Donovan. What we'll talk about, I don't know, but it has been my pleasure to be here with you all. And thank you for spending your Thursday evening with me. You guys have a great rest of your evening and relax yourself. That's what I'm going to do. Peace.